And good evening everybody. Welcome to the studio this evening, and I still haven't worked out why that suddenly takes a while to switch scenes, but anyway, not a lot I can do about it. That's just OBS for you. Right, well, we shall be continuing on with this bracelet. There's about another 2 inches to do on it before it is complete, and then we just need to add a clasp, which I don't have, but well, I do have one, but I'm not going to be adding the one I've got, because the one I've got is that came with the kit is silver plated, which actually won't last very long at all. When I get a beat to go where I wanted it to go. Clavybug, good evening, welcome to the studio this evening. And how are you today? Let's see if I can, how long I can go on this stream before Junior comes and visits. Right, I'm going to work out how to get my hand around this camera. Let's position it a little better if I can. Try to give you a decent view of what I'm doing, but it's the lighting is bad. I've got a continuous fight with lighting and cameras because you get the glare on that camera if I put the lighting in a decent position, and let's see, if I move this camera closer you'll get less of a glare. There. And why would you be scared, Clavybug? And Spacknifles PT, good evening, welcome. Okay, that's a bit better. And if I just zoom the camera in a little bit, that will also help. All I've got to do now is try and make sure I keep my hands in the same position. There we go. Okay, right, I can continue. Which we're going to start with a white bead. Wow! That's quite a move, Clavybug. I'm trying to remember what your crafting is. I know you've mentioned it before. I've seen you on Eddie's stream, I think it was, but I don't actually recall. So what crafting do you do? And it certainly is a brave move. Jewellery making, paper cutting. Okay. What sort of jewellery then? Obviously I'm kind of half, well not half, I am interested in that. Paper cutting, making paper models, or is that something else? you know, this sort of 3D paper craft. I think I don't know quite what it is. Oh, that's a pity. It's usually a good way of if you're in a job that you don't like, doing something that you do like afterwards would be a good idea. But giving it up to concentrate on it, that's amazing. So you're giving it up to just a moment. Yeah, and don't forget I need to, well, I'll do it now, permit you to post a link. So you're going to be doing your crafting commercially, or just as a sort of a hobby? This is when I need patience. Things like that happen. Yeah, I'd like to do it full time. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to manage it, but it would be nice. Sort of, it's a nice dream for me anyway. But if you can manage it, that's and it's something you like doing, then that's fantastic. Of course, when you start having to do something that you enjoy like that full time, it's a different thing, but it doesn't always translate to an enjoyable activity when it becomes necessary to do. Yeah, and if you got the opportunity and you can run with an opportunity like that, it's definitely something that you have to consider carefully. And more fingers and not thumbs, I don't think, tonight. It's alright, Cleverbug, don't worry about it then. I mean, if you do get something uploaded, just let me know and I can permit again. No hurry, not yeah, that's it. Yeah, if you can afford to do it, take the chance. because otherwise you'll always be going, what if? What if I tried? Mind you, it's easy for me to say that. You know, I can sit here and say exactly that, but I'm not doing that. And I'm not the one that has to make it work, but I do wish you luck. Oh well, that's good. You've already done that sort of planning as well. That helps you. Do you sell your crafts already, Clerrybug, or is that something that you've got to get to grips with as well? That's yep. Just a sec. That's going to be the hard bit then, Clerrybug. I mean, you are selling some. So will that do? It does. Finding the outlet is going to be the difficult thing. Etsy is a shop, but there's lots of people on it, and standing out so that people actually look at your stuff is going to be the hard bit. As I guess Adie's probably mentioned as well. Oh, I see. So that, oh, it's like a three-dimensional thing, isn't it? So I'm just taking a closer look. It's like paper cutouts then stacked in a 3D sort of thing. Hopefully it would, Clerrybug, and it'd be interesting to watch. And being able to do it full time will help. The good thing about Etsy in a way is that it does all the shop bit for you and handles all the payment stuff for you, so that saves you one heck of a lot of hassle. I mean, obviously, as you know, they take a fee for doing it, but when you sort of take into consideration all the other rules, regulations and things you'd have to comply with, all right. £30 for the pair, that's not bad going. That is something that I think seems fairly unusual on Etsy, so hopefully it will get picked up. As you can see, I too have the shop there, which is I wasn't expecting it to grow particularly fast, but it is hard getting people to look. I've just tied that in a knot through there. So one thing you got to watch when you're doing this, that you don't suddenly tie yourself in a knot. Yeah, well, there's always there's always someone better, Clarybug, and the fact that you practice and learn, that's the key thing. It means you are going to get better, but I wouldn't worry about the fact that other people are better. Forget that. And I think quite often, to some extent, that's got absolutely nothing to do with actually commercial work. It's not always about who's actually better. Get my fingers caught in this. No, I only want one bead. Thank you. Wow. That's nice going. If you were able to manage that, manage the same thing, Clarybug, you'd be well away. Mind you, he said wage. Obviously, that only applies if it's sort of more than once a month or something like that. Of course, those headline prices are nice if it's a regular, a frequent regular thing, not the occasional one. But good luck. No, we're not doing too bad. Just trying to decide whether to change the thread on this. At the moment, I think I'll keep going for a little bit longer. Yeah, just in case. There you go. I ought to get MooBot set up so that regular people can just do it anyway. Trouble is, I've got lots of square to it, but I've not got any round to it. Okay, well, I look at that and go, it's a little bit more detailed, but look, otherwise I don't really see the difference between what you're doing and they're doing here, Clevybug. Hmm. Looks just like, you know, something not much different, you know, a bit more detail and probably a a very sharp scalpel, but yeah, yeah. Well, once you get that sort of reputation, then you're well away with that then. If you get that collector status, so that everybody wants something, then it's like well, I hesitate to compare it, but it's kind of like the artists that sell piles of bricks, you know. And you kind of wonder why on earth somebody would pay the sort of money for a pile of bricks. You can go down to sort of any building site and see just the same sort of thing for nothing, you know. Now, I'm not suggesting that she's doing things like that, but you know, it's sometimes having a name. It's the name that drives it more than anything else. But I mean, they did look beautiful, did those things. So does that mean within sort of 6 months, Clevybug, we're going to see you in the Tate Gallery and things like that? Yeah, probably. Dear. M&S bricks. I like that. That's good, yes. Well, what do they say? Aim high. I think personally, my art is too traditional for the Tate Modern, so I don't stand a chance of being in there. does it feel like I'm doing this really slow tonight? Yeah, well, that's potentially true, isn't it? Mind you, you can take analogies like that too far, you know. Aim for the moon. If you miss, you're going to run out of food and oxygen and purple white next. See, I can be a pessimist as well as an optimist. No, I don't want a white one there. I want a purple one there. See if I can get this back out without unthreading my needle. Yeah, well done. I can imagine there would be, because of course that's going to be all very fine cuts, isn't it? And I'm guessing the problem with things like typography cuts is holding it down in such a way that it's going to that you can actually cut it without sort of twisting and ripping the paper. Ooh, it's Fluffy Twiglet makes her own paper. That's not a pain, don't worry about it, Clavybug. Can I do... Okay, I think I've just added you such that you will get timed out in the future, Clavybug. Okay, I don't mind if that's how you prefer. Thank you. I do try, well, unless you say as you did there you prefer something different, I do try and use people's names as they have them. But you should be okay now, Claire, to just post links at any time. Robots shouldn't catch you. And hello, Fluffy Twiglet. So, Fluffy Twiglet, is any of your paper good for cutting, with a scalpel? It's getting a bit short, so halfway up this length we'll change the thread. That typography is really nice. I do like that sort of style, the serif style, for writing. So it does have that handwritten quality to it. Plus, I like the image, the art. You know, I think it's good. Yeah, I think so, Fluffy. But at least one of the those Ethans, I think. Let's have a quick look, see if I can see. That was one of you first. Well, that's you've got a natural start to it there. So I'm just looking at something. Right, I shall carry on with this a good few hours. Well, I mean, if it's your first one, that's not surprising, you know. I think it's still amazing for first one. Right, now then, before this thread gets too short, I will tie it off. If you sneeze around here, Junior's laid on my computer at the end, where I hope he actually stays till the end of the stream at least. But whenever you sneeze, he always has a little squeak. It's almost as like he's saying bless you. All the music is by Purple Planet. I don't know what the actual piece is that's currently playing. You'd love to be able to sneeze. It's not a pleasant thing, Captain Dobie. Not a pleasant thing at all. Yes, the sneezing ghost is Mrs. Zaragonat. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Well, it would be pleasant to get rid of it altogether, wouldn't it, Captain Derby? Right, now then, what I do now is I'll feed this thread. Now that I've tied a knot in it, I'll just go diagonally down through a number of these beads. I'll come out there, that'll do. And that hides the, basically hides the tail of the knot. Go through another few beads in a different direction. That way the change of direction adds quite a lot of tension, friction, which stops it pulling out. The knot's what actually holds the thread more than anything, but the changes of direction, the extra friction, just stops it pulling out. And if you can't pull the tail out, then the knot can't unravel, basically. Right, so what I'm going to do now is, I don't happen to have a pair of scissors on me. I'm going to use the scalpel blade. And all I'm going to do is just pull the thread fairly tight and use the scalpel to just cut it. And then because I've put a bit of tension on it, when I've cut it, it's shot back into the beads, and therefore it's completely out of the way. Now then, I need new lengths of cord. Ah. Very interesting designs, Clever Book. I couldn't use some of those clasps, because they've got buttons on the end, and certain people I know don't like buttons. They're using jump rings as well, aren't they, by the looks of it? Hmm. So those that have offset at the sort of 45 degrees, so the zigzag. What holds them in the zigzag? Are they beads that have got an offset hole rather than straight through the centre? Hmm. 3D bloke, good evening, welcome. Old LH as well, good evening, welcome. Right. Let me unthread this needle. And thread this new length. Oh, I see. So one of the threads bypasses the large bead, and that's what. And then when you pull it, that's what sort of pulls the zigzag and offsets it. Clever. Yeah. Raging Lions, good evening. Right, now then. So let me just basically feed this in somewhere. I'm going to try and tie a knot in this. If I can remember how to tie a knot. I know that sounds daft. I tried this last night and completely forgot how to tie a knot, and wasn't very successful at actually tying that knot. So I'm just pulling the thread through. I'm going to leave a longish tail like that, which should allow me to sew that into here if I get this wrong. So what I'm going to do is pass the needle through to the other side and then pass it back, if I can see where it's come through. Right, so what I've just done, or should have just managed to succeed in doing. Where's the needle? It's there. Is come out of there, gone down there. Yeah. What I should have just succeeded in doing is passing the thread around an existing thread that goes up through that bead. That should therefore mean I can tie a knot around that thread. And then the knot will disappear between the beads, like that. Then what I need to do is weave this thread back between these beads to get it to come out of this the white one just above my nail there, and to do that I'm going to have to go across there. Ow! That's what happens when you push the needle out where you're not expecting it to come out of. There, like that. And then if I go back into there, no, there, and I'm coming out the right place to take my next bead. What I'm going to do now is very carefully not to tie this lot in a knot. There, good. You ordered the new PC? Wow. I'll just cut off this tail because the tails annoy me. So stretch it and cut. Are you bothering to swap out the video cards in your on your current one, free, so you can play games again? I missed watching what's happening in Soma. Wow, somebody bought one of those and never used it. It does seem a bit silly, but Well, just very slightly, Clary. I mean, it's not. It will puncture, you know, but it's not like a sewing needle, which is really sharp. It's got a point. It will go into the skin, but I was kind of expecting it to come out where I could see, and it had gone a little bit further, and I wasn't putting a lot of pressure on it. It's the sort of owl that you go where you think it should have hurt you, but you weren't actually that bothered. I'm sure you've done that a few times with yours. Why does that look a little... Oh, they're one of those, just one of those bees looking a little, as though it was sat a little bit low. You went for a nice Skylake. You have gone for a top of the line machine, haven't you? No, so it was just a faulty adapter in the end, or a non-standard adapter. You're going to be streaming tonight then, Free? Yeah, just a moment. Let me just finish the end of this row and then... I will show you the full thing. That must be purple, not white. So that's the full length as it is at the moment, just over 5 inches. So, or it was at the start of the stream, just about 5 inches. 7 inches needed to be done. This time, this particular thread I've just sewn in LDLH is about 6 feet long. The 9-foot one last night was a little bit too long. Hopefully I won't tie this one up in quite so many knots. The thing I like about this is it is so flexible. It's like a piece of cloth. And you can run, you think, because these are little tubes, you can actually rotate them with just a gentle bit of pressure as you just rub between your fingers there, which is quite an interesting feeling. And it's just a very nice tactile piece. .2 gig. You have gone. Yes, Clary, it is. That's precisely what it's going to be. I do have a there's a 5 unit clasp to go on the end, although I probably won't use this one. Since Mrs. Aragonite will have this one, I'll put a sterling silver clasp on the end of it rather than a silver plated one. Okay, I should get a chance to drop in then, Free. I shall look for. Is it going to be the end of this week when it arrives, or is it going to take a bit longer? I bet you're kind of hoping for the end of this week, then you can have a play with it over the weekend. Oh, like I say, that shouldn't be a particularly a problem to that, to 5 gigs free. Why does it look like I've got a... Oh, bother. Oh, good. Where is that from? I've got... You can see I've got a thread. I have no idea where that's from. Hmm. Nine days until delivery. Ah, okay. Yeah. We're waiting in every day for it. Sorry, I'm trying to work out where that thread is from, how it's even got there. Because I could have sworn that they cut the tail off of the both the last thread and this one somewhere down here. Well, it's tight, whatever it is. I can't pull it, so I don't know. I shall leave that a little bit. I can't actually weave it in. I can't get a needle on that. Well, I suppose I could potentially. What I might do is when I run out on this needle, what I'll do is put it in backwards, in from one side, just catch the end of that and pull it into the weave rather than cut it off, because I don't actually know where it's from. No, it's not a broken piece, LDLH. I mean, it could only be from either the last thread or this one. If it was broke, well, if this one had broken, I'd be able to pull it out because it's only about one loop basically. The last one was cut off, so and I can't pull it. Oh well, yeah. No, it is a braided thread, but it's I can feel it's not a split. If I look at if I hold the two side by side, I can feel they're the same size. But yeah, one of those puzzles. Maybe I did go there. Or maybe what I did was in going. Perhaps what I did do is in somehow going through the ends, I got it caught without realising it. So that when I went back through to sort of finish off it and cut the end off, probably down here somewhere. What I've done is not realised I've had a catch, cut it off. Seeing the catch, what I've done is pull the thread and I've pulled it back out of the loop. So it could be that that's where the knot is. So that's so rather than cut it off, that's where I'm going to back feed a needle and put thread this back onto a needle when it's pushed backwards. through through the beads. Feed that back on and I can just pull it out. It'll pull through the needle, but it will pull through and leave it inside the beads, which should be sufficient tension then on it and friction to stop it unraveling. No, I wouldn't cut it like that, Al, because if that is the knot and I cut it here, it will unravel the knot fairly easily, and then it could basically fall apart. So I will sew it back in. No, I don't want a white one now. No problem. One of the things I wanted to make sure I got all the thread sewn in for was because it keeps getting in the way. And of course I tried sewing it in and looks like I failed, and it's now getting in the way a little bit. Ah well. White. So well, it depends on quite what you mean. I can't physically pick up like two on the needle like this. Not for this particular weave, this particular pattern. There are techniques of doing two like that, two beads. It's called two drop, and it basically just elongates the pattern. But I have to so I have to pick up just one at a time. I can sort of, because it's effectively going to go in this space here, and then the next one will go there, and so on, between each of these sort of castellations. So in practice I can do things like pick that up there, pick up another bead to go through this next one like that, so I sort of get two at once, but then I've got to sort of manage two beads, but the potential for knotting is a little bit more, and it actually doesn't save a great deal of time, but it is possible. I'll try it again. You're just going to be a lot more careful about where your threads are, that you don't tie a knot. And you can only go so far because of the friction. So let's put, I've got 3 through there. Yeah, that's probably about as much as I'd want to do. Well, there you go. I'm learning something. I can do it. I literally don't know if it's any quicker. I suppose it is because I'm only pulling the thread through once. There we go. That thread. I thought I'd done something wrong there. On the end one. I did try the multiple ones the other day. It got a bit complicated, but today it seems to be working a bit better. Maybe I'm just I've got a bit more practice. That's a purple. We'll then go on to white. Well, that worked. Alright, that's one reason why they're on this sort of velvet-like material free, because they don't roll as very easily on this. But when you get a pussycat landing on top of them, they go all over the place, irrespective of what they're on. And I have had them sort of all over the. I've had them over the floor. I suspect I've lost quite a few on the floor. See what it is, 3D, is they're too small to knock around, you see. It's not like bottles of paint that, just magically get caught in air hoses and things like that. If Junior wants to be on the table, LDLH, there's no sort of not allowed involved. If Junior wants to be on the table, Junior gets to be on the table. He won't take no for an answer. If you put him down, he comes back. And if you try that too often, he gets upset. And when Junior gets upset, he does tend to let you know he starts gentle by just putting his teeth on your arm. Then he gets a little bit less gentle, shall we say. So if Junior wants to be on the table, he gets to be on the table. He can be quite hard to dissuade. Yeah, as Captain Dobie saw last night. Yeah. Where is he now? At that end of the desk, my computer sits just off the end of the... well, not off the end of the desk. He sits on the floor at the end of the desk. And I think he's... yes, he is. He's laid on top of it. There's an air vent on top. The fans are off at the moment, but of course warm air comes up through it, and at least two of the cats love laying across the air vent just because it's warm. Yeah, as Captain Dovey will probably attest to last night, Junior sprawled out across the complete width of the... well, if he just filled the space basically. Cats have this magical ability to fill any available space, no matter how big or how small. In fact, I think with cats, if you put a small box down, they don't go, oh, that's too small to get in. They just look upon it as a challenge. Yeah, that's right. And all cats contain a gravity generator. No matter how small the cat is, if it doesn't want to be picked up, it increases localized gravity by about tenfold, especially on beds. And of course, if you guys are hoping for a disruption, you do realise that if he disrupts the stream, that's going to be the end of it for tonight. So you may not want to wish for that. So I was just doing this, just working the thread a little bit just to make sure it evens out. It looked as though it was, you know, a little bit too tight. Keeping the tension reasonably similar across and helps, and then working it a little bit afterwards just evens out all the tight spots and the loose spots, and sort of frees up the bracelet. Okay, which one of you was wishing for him to come and disrupt the stream? Hmm? You gonna come sit on my knee, Junior? Come and sit on the knee. Do you have a cat? No. Okay. Do you not want him? I was just going to try and get Mrs. Arrogant to take this pussy cat, but she wants to disrupt the stream as well. So she wants Junior to stay here. You're gonna, I will just see if I can settle him down. It's he might. That's it. You settle down there. Okay. He may settle. We shall see how long he does settle for. I may have to keep stroking him to keep him settled, but we shall see. And I have to be careful not to put the thread across his back, otherwise he'll be trying to bite it. Hello, Junior. 3D Block says hello, Junior. Yeah, and you know what that reaction is, 3D. Yeah. Oh, there's no point in counting the score, Captain Dobie. There is no question as to the winner. I just want to know which one of you it was that wished. If I find out, I might just ban you. No, he doesn't. Sometimes he will. You know, for no apparent reason, he'll squeak at you. And he is a cat that sort of sits and if you go out, he'll sit and wait for you to come back. But he doesn't talk to me very often, doesn't Junior? When I come back, he'll come up to me and he'll be a little bit fussy and want to want you to stroke his head or something like that. But when Mrs. Arrogant comes back, he squeaks at her. He sort of says hello and runs around, and yet it's me you sits on. I guess I don't talk cat. Well, at least it's a little bit easier to do this than carving, for example, with a cat on my knee. Slows things down a bit, but it's a bit easier. Yep, that's right. This is Peyote stitch. It's an even count stitch. That's the lens sofa. I'm not bothering to measure this at the moment because I don't think I stand much a chance of adding 2 inches in the last hour or so. Nope, I've done that wrong. So I'm going to just back thread this to remove a couple of beads, because I've put this one I'm just about to remove should have been white. Let's see if I can get the needle to go where I want it to go. Yep, I do not want. There we go. Alright, let me pull that through and carry on from there. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure of it, but it's a weird thing, is this 3D block. I mean, you're seeing I'm getting through a row fairly quickly, and these beads are 2mm diameter, give or take a little bit, and that's gone through the wrong. That's gone through 2 beads rather than 1. The 2mm diameter, so it's 13 rows to the inch, basically. So you'd think you'd get through it fairly quickly, and it would grow quite quickly, and as you can see, I'm not taking hours to do a row, and yet it's not growing as quickly as you might think. But yeah, you do sort of just get lost in it, and because it's a nice regular repeating pattern, it's quite easy to, almost quite easy to do it without thinking. As you can see, I keep making the odd mistake and have to backtrack, but I am still trying to work out why it isn't suddenly 6 feet long. Well, apart from the fact I don't have that many beads, but there is one thing about having Junior on your knee doing this, is it makes your arm tired, because I can't rest it on the armrest anymore, and I can't rest it on Junior, so I'm having to hold it in mid-air. I've thought about it, Free. I've thought about it. You can actually use a loom to do something like this, and actually weave rather than sew the beads. But there is sort of, well, I suppose again there's ways around it, but a loom, so you've got lots of, I never remember whether, I think it's warps are the long ones, and then what you do is you work with a long needle. You put all the beads on the needle and you sort of bring it up to the warp, and then hold them in place with your finger, pull the needle out, and then go back over the top, which then puts a thread, you know, 2 threads through each bead, one below the warp thread and one above, so that it's then held in place. And then you do your next row and your next row, so you're doing a whole row at once basically. And of course then it does grow really fast. The only thing you've got then is you've got when you've sort of finished the length, you've then got all these warp threads to deal with, because if you pull one of those out, the beads sort of drop out of place. So they all have to be sort of either sewn into the band, which, you know, I've got, how many have I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 22. So there'll be 23 warp threads to sew at each end, plus the long one that you start with, or you have to sort of join those together in some way that's neat. And so generally speaking, as I sort of been reading up about this, if you're doing it using looms, then they tend to be they just tend to cut the threads off and then glue the band that's been created to some sort of carrier, like a length of leather or a metal bracelet, something like that, and then the long threads sort of are tucked underneath and glued in place so that they don't pull out. So it seems to be sort of a different use. I can sort of, yeah, I can sort of imagine sort of ways in which you could perhaps get round that, but yeah, except of course, Free, what you're doing is it's what you're doing is this bead I've put on here, so the thread comes out, not that one that I put in last, but one that's already in place. So it's going to come out of the one that's already in place through this bead and then go through that one. So it's not like I'm pushing it through the whole row in one go. I've got to interlace it with the existing ones. So yes, what you'd have to do is hold that in place on your board, lay your next set of beads in the space between them, in the castellations, and then feed the needle through the two. I'm guessing you could probably do it. It'd be some very fine engineering, I think, to hold them in place, but it's doable, I think. An intriguing idea. It certainly would mean you'd be able to do these things a heck of a lot quicker if that was possible. That's doing the whole row in one go as I'm trying to have a go at that is it's getting a little bit tight. I'm just going to loosen it off a bit. It's a bit easier working like that whole row in one go with Junior on my knee, but the tension's getting a bit yeah, the tension's getting a bit variable on that. It doesn't look very good. Yeah, you'd have to sort of have 2mm slots, 2mm long slots. It would be really fiddly to put them in place because the gap between these is next to nothing. I mean, the needle can get through just about. So there's not a lot of space to put like a divider in the rows. And I have just realised I've made another mistake because I'm not concentrating, you see. That last white bead shouldn't be white. So we'll take that off. It should have been aqua. You are not having much luck with that PC, are you, Free? Okay, I'm just going to do one colour at once. I don't like the way the tension was developing on this, trying to do a whole row at once. It was convenient with Junior on my knee, but if the quality starts to suffer, then it's not worth doing it. Okay, I've tied a jumble in this summit. Yeah, I've tied a right knot in this summer. Okay. So that's one argument for not trying to do lots at the same time. Welcome back, Fate. Okay, at this point, easiest thing to do is to remove the needle. Will be a pain to rethread, but it's the easiest thing to do at this stage. And we just unravel it. Right. So as you can see, sometimes trying to do things the quick way actually doesn't make it quicker, it actually makes it slower. Now what I've got to do is try and rethread this needle, which won't necessarily be easy because this end is frayed. Plus I can hardly see the thing. Wow. Second attempt. That wasn't bad. All your cameras online now, Fee. I think I'll stick to one at a time for this. Not a white, a purple. Yeah, that's good. Two cameras. Does that mean you're painting tonight, Free? Has it dried yet? I always thought oil paints, though, were never actually supposed to sort of permanently dry, shall we say. Maybe slightly surface hard, but never actually dry off properly. Mm. Would something like greaseproof paper wrapped on the surface of it? Mind you, I suppose that would sort of disrupt the brush marks, wouldn't it? But would that protect it from itself? Or something like, I was thinking of something like cling film. Yeah, yeah. I thought it might mess with the textures. Well, such is the problems of an oil painter. I guess if somebody wants the image free, they just have to pay for the pay for the shipping. Turn it over and do it all in. Yeah, that's £50 for the canvas, 4.5k for the shipping. Yeah. Well, that's the game that's played, isn't it? Yeah. You can you can have it for £500 and shipping's 4.5k, or you can have it for 5k with shipping included free. I half expect there'd be people that would insist on having the second option of the 5k with shipping fee because they think it had better value. Yeah, no, that's true. Free. And you think on eBay these days doesn't eBay dictate shipping prices or something? So you almost have no choice. I shall find out shortly. Yeah, I actually have seen some things like that. I was looking at something today. I can't remember what it was, but it literally was something like, I mean, it's something really ridiculous, like £15 and £700 shipping, and it's kind of like, where they're shipping it from? Is it from a satellite or something? Purple's next. Whoops. Yeah, one thing to do if you put beads on like a piece of material like this, don't catch the material in your needle and lift it up. I'm glad these are all radically different colours, so at least I can tell which is which when they get mixed up. With these beads you can reputedly get sort of several tens of different shades, shall we say, if not hundreds, and you could imagine if you're doing something like a photographic image and you're sort of using some really close shade differences and you accidentally mix them up. Yeah, probably free. Yeah, because of the yeah. It's a freezer based on the final. Actually, isn't the final? Doesn't it include shipping in the final price? I can't remember. Yeah, if there's a way around it, people will find a way around it. I've done something wrong. These white beads I've added. I missed a purple. Sorry, an aqua one. Bother. I was hoping that wouldn't happen. Am I lucky? Or am I just going to get this into a bigger knot? No, I'll do better to feed it through the right bead to start with. There we go. Reputedly, there is a way of if you found, having completed the bracelet, found sort of like there was one bead wrong in the middle of all this lot. You can reputedly sort of just crack the bead out with a pair of cutters and then sort of sew another one in, but rather than unpicking the whole thing. I don't ever want to find out though, to be honest. Right, let's get it to the end of this row. Hopefully without making another mistake. Yeah, right. Here we go. It's getting there. It's getting there. But it's 10 o'clock. And that's about it for this evening. I'm going to rest my arm for a little bit. Holding it above the cat is a bit hard. And Free, I guess you'll be going live shortly. I'm going to remind anybody that's watching the stream that hasn't checked out the jewellery shop to do so. There's some nice things in there. Make great presents for Christmas and the New Year. Don't forget, order early because it takes a little while to make them, and you'd like them in time, I'm sure. And feel free to pass on the site to family, friends, and anybody else that you like or dislike. The proceeds will help to fund the stream and you know, doing things like this where we have to buy bits and pieces. If you are watching and not following me, though, why you'd want to do that when there's such a nice pussycat around like this? And thank you, Moobot, that was nicely timed. Interestingly, my OBS was a bit like that. Scene switching was is a bit laggy for some reason at the moment. Yeah, why wouldn't you follow me when you get to Junior the Pussycat comes and visits occasionally? But anyway, if you'd like to follow it, I'd appreciate it. Push the button. If you don't want to but would still like a notification, then you can follow me on Twitter. It's @ZaragonArt, and the details are below the stream window and will be on the end plate for a short while in a moment. On the other hand, just want to try and catch me tomorrow? I will be around 8 PM UK time, 1900 hours UTC or GMT. Won't be long before they're the same. Or about 2 hours ago, it was 8 o'clock, but tomorrow. Thank you all. I recommend that you check out 3D Bloke, especially if he's having a play with oil paints tonight. He should go live shortly. Thank you all for watching, and I'll hope to see you again in the studio in the future. Bye bye.